Well, Freedom Convoy's been dispersed. Trudeau ended up getting his way, and yeah, that was just kind of how this shit was gonna end, right? When he called down the Emergencies Act, it was just a matter of time before he just decided to descend his jackboots in there and disperse all the legitimate peaceful protesters. This was always what was gonna be the case, and on the official announcement was made Sunday that, yeah, Freedom Convoy was just gonna disperse. Sure, there's been a couple of just little breakout protests that have happened in different places across the country, and we'll take a look at those here in a minute, but this is the official line, okay, because there's been a lot of conflation as to what the official word from the protest proper has been. Okay, because you have stupid ass Jagmeet Singh saying that, oh, the Freedom Convoy wants to overthrow the federal government. Well, no, that was never officially what they said, okay? You just wanted to make it more extreme than it ever was. Okay, but you ended up getting your way regardless, you fucking cretin. It sucks that we're here, but yeah, no, the organizers make sense on this one. At least the ones that aren't arrested. Oh, fucking Jesus Christ, Canada. Not going to be a punching bag for the police. Freedom Convoy spokesperson announces peaceful withdrawal from Ottawa, which is exactly what they've been the entire fucking way. Like, I've seen some smooth brains out there, and they were talking about how, oh, the truckers just should have stayed there and they should have stood up, and sometimes peaceful protest isn't enough for actual change. Cool. When you have police that are marching down the street in Ottawa, okay, when they number in that much, when they have the fucking armored vehicles, when they have people, which, oh, it just shows that they have binoculars in that picture, or, oh yeah, there's just a couple of them just standing up there, just not necessarily holding anything at the moment, but if you really think that fighting back, and all of the people that were there in Ottawa, okay, everybody outside of the one Fed plant, let's be fucking honest, at the Couts border crossing in Alberta at the end of last week, or I guess that was a couple of weeks ago at this point. Outside of that, there have been no weapons found at any of these protests. How exactly do you think that the truckers were going to be fighting back? They've been peaceful the entire fucking time, and then Trudeau's jackboots roll up on you. What are you supposed to do? Start throwing fucking fists, eh? Yeah, I don't think so. That wouldn't have ended well. But that's what, I guess that's the type of rhetoric that you come up with when you don't have to go anywhere from outside of your fucking keyboard, you dumb cunts. This police in Ottawa escalated operations for a second day in a row against the trucker protest opposed to the government's COVID-19 mandates. Yeah, you guys, that's what all of this is over, by the way. A lot of this is just kind of thanks to Trudeau escalating the situation a week ago. Really kind of lost sight of this. It's like, okay, take a look at what most of the other countries in the developed world have been doing over the past week, if not month, rolling back all of their mandates. But no, Trudeau wants to continue to tell people what they have to do, and now he's anointed himself the power to micromanage everybody's life for who knows how long. More on that in a moment, but here's the statement from them. Speaking at a press conference at the Lord Elgin Hotel in downtown Ottawa on February 19th, retired Canadian military officer Tom Mazzaro said many truckers feel that the best course of action for them and their families is to withdraw in order to avoid further harm. Yeah, they don't need to get their heads fucking kicked in, or they don't need to be trampled like a horse. That'd be terrible if something like that actually happened. As a movement, we have chosen to peacefully withdraw from the streets of Ottawa. There is nothing to be gained by being brutalized by police. Yep, exactly. Because, yeah, this shit'll happen, okay? They'll get beat with fucking batons, and it's like, who's gonna come to your rescue, okay? When you have all of the government all too willing to line up with the authoritarian streak that they all possess, okay? When they show up in their fucking military regalia with their names covered up, with their badge number covered up, which are pictures that you'll see out there, enacting these arrests under Trudeau's paranoia, under his totalitarian streak that's showing right now. Nobody's coming to your aid. There's a lot of condemnation. There's a lot of leaders that are out there saying, oh, this is the wrong thing that we shouldn't be doing, eh? You got Jason Kenney out there in Alberta. He's penning his open letter. There's a bunch of other people penning letters, but who's coming there? Who's taking the fucking batons out of the police officer's hands saying, what the fuck are you doing? Nobody. Absolutely nobody. So if you want to get your fucking head caved in for a zero gain at all, go for it, okay? All you're doing right now is just showing that you are taking the high ground on this one. Go back, okay? If you're not allowed to peacefully organize, that's legitimately over the past month that they were in Ottawa, 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, I forget the exact time and date. For the time that they were there, they made the city better. They kept the streets cleaner. They kept them shoveled, and crime was down. They made the place fucking better. And now they've been kicked out because they were doing a better job than the police that were there. I don't know exactly. None of this situation makes sense at all. So now, if you guys want to enact some change, just a little thought I've had as well. If you guys have been told to just go home and the mandates are going to still, okay, the ones that are affecting you directly, the Vax Pass and the tracking app that has to be on your phone in order for you to do your job, you know what you need to do? Stay at home. Just fucking stay at home. Make Trudeau feel the economic crunch, okay? Continue to protest at home. It doesn't have the exact same appeal, okay? It's not the same mass gathering, but it'll have a detrimental effect. And what are they going to do, okay? From there, if police officers start getting sent into people's house or into people's homes, okay, and forcing them to go back to work, then you might have some people stand up and take notice about what's going on, because that would be a intense escalation. Because even right now, thanks to the media, okay, thanks to every fucking outlet in the Canadian free press right now, CTV, CBC, Global, City, anyone that you want to point at, okay? All they were saying was that, oh, all those protesters in Ottawa and all those little protests that broke out across at different border crossings, they're all just full of white supremacists and whatever else they fucking thought about. So, okay, cool. It's weird because there was an opinion poll that was out there saying that most Canadians are against the mandates that are out there right now, but then they're also against the truckers who were there for the secession of these mandates. So people are so poorly informed if you don't do the research, if you don't search out what's actually going on, okay? Because they think that this organizer, okay, the guy who's saying there's nothing to be gained to be brutalized by police and we're going to peacefully withdraw from the streets of Ottawa, okay, that any time that they were confronted and it's like, hey, you guys, we got this injunction, from this, from one of our Ontario courts, that you have to stop honking. And what did they do? They stopped honking. Really unreasonable people. Or, hey, you're kind of clogging up some of that there residential traffic in some of that areas, do you guys think that you can move some of your trucks, huh? And yeah, oh yeah, no, that's no problem. We don't want to cause any fuss, we'll just move them downtown a little bit. Don't block off any roads. Oh, didn't think about it, not once. Real fucking insurrection, real occupation that's going on. Well, not anymore. Police began escalating their operation against the protesters in Ottawa on February 18th, announcing mid-morning, February 20th. They have thus far made 191 arrests and had 57 vehicles towed away. That's jumped up so far. We'll get to that in a second. Mounted police and officers on foot advanced on demonstrators with horses, knocking down protesters in some instances. Oh, fuck. It's not like that actually happened. Okay, that's probably just reports. There's probably no video of that being captured. Some police officers were heavily armed, including with assault rifles and what appeared to be rubber bullet launchers. Yeah, there's some pictures that you can see, and you can't tell for sure. And that guy right there, don't know if he's holding an assault rifle or anything like that. It just seemed a little bit out of place. But obviously he's got looks to be a Polish insignia on the side of his truck, so obviously a foreign invader, right? The dark day in our history, Mazzaro said. Never in my life would I believe that anyone, if they told me that our prime minister would refuse dialogue and choose violence against peaceful protesters. None of those cunting elected officials ever went down and discussed fuck all with those in charge of the Freedom Convoy. None of them. Not a single fucking one of them. That's incomprehensible, okay? Oh, they're such dangerous people. Have you ever gone down and talk with them? No, because they're so dangerous. Oh, okay, cool. You could have avoided all of this if you just would have had a dialogue, you fucking cretin. Trudeau has continued to refuse to meet with the organizers of the trucker convoy, which arrived, the 28th and 29th of January. Convoy began as a protest by truck drivers opposed to federal vaccine and the app as well, if you've listened to anything from Benjamin Dichter. I don't know if he was arrested, but maybe we'll get into that because, like I said here, as of right now, this is what we have. 191 people arrested, 79 vehicles towed, as police continue escalated operations. But yeah, last time that we talked about tow trucks was they were refusing to show up, but thanks to the Emergencies Act, Justin Trudeau can go ahead and force people to work. Yes, forced labor. But that's all right. That's for in service of the government. You can simp for the government And that's totally fine for these fucking morons to think that this is such a good thing. The people who would love to use protest if it was to their benefit, but they see a legitimate, a peaceful, a protest that's actually making a difference. Oh no, they want it stopped because, I don't know, those evil right-wingers? Sure, whatever. Ottawa police said February 20th that 191 people have been arrested and 79 vehicles have been towed as law enforcement continues operations to clear protesters opposed to the mandates from the nation's capital. Many protesters were pushed back by officers in riot gear with batons and pepper spray on February 19th, with demonstrators trying to wash the spray out of their eyes. The day before, mounted police advanced on protesters, in some case knocking down some people, and we'll get to that person in a second. OPS said on February 20th that among the 191 people arrested, 103 had been charged, mostly for mischief and obstruction. Once again, just these vague, nebulous terms that we're just going to go ahead and start snatching people up off the street for. Oh, you're being mischievous. Come with us. Now you're charged with a felony. Why? Because you're obstructing. Okay. 89 of them have been released with a condition that includes a boundary they are not allowed to attend. No protest. Okay. And you have to be out of Ottawa. That's what I'm seeing. OPS said in a tweet. The others have been released unconditionally. Okay, cool. So what does that mean? That 14 of them were instigators? Police have designated the site in the protest in Ottawa's downtown core as a secured area. Ergo, they're not allowed to enter that area anymore because it's secure, and you guys are not secured. Checkpoints have been set up to only allow access to those who live or work in the area. Police officers have also set up fences to keep protesters away from the areas already cleared by law enforcement, further restricting the protest site, which also happens to be Parliament Hill, where the important people meet up. What's happening with the other aspects of the Emergencies Act? Yeah, bank accounts are getting froze. Okay, lots of bank accounts. 206 financial products, including banks and corporate accounts allegedly involved in Ottawa protests, have been froze by the Canadian police. This is frightening. Probably a little bit more frightening than I'm really putting emphasis on. I don't even know if I fully processed all of this madness so far. Canadian authorities have frozen the financial assets of individuals and companies that have allegedly involved in the ongoing protests of Ottawa. The ongoing protests in Ottawa, Mike Dumaine, RCMP, Deputy Commissioner of Federal Policing, announced on February 20th. Duhaime said in a news conference that the RCMP froze 206 financial products, including bank accounts, corporate accounts, and disclosed the information of 56 entities associated with vehicles, individuals, and companies. Oh, cool. RCMP also shared 253 Bitcoin addresses. Oh, good. With virtual currency exchangers, and froze a payment processing account valued at $3.8 million. Good. It is unclear what will happen to the money being frozen by financial institutions. Oh, one could guess. It'll all be seized. Why? Because this is an emergency, right? We will continue to work at collecting relevant information on persons, vehicles, and companies, and remain in daily communication with the financial institutions to assist them. Yeah, and what are these financial institutions being told? Listen, you freeze people that are in contact with helping the Freedom Convoy. Okay, there's punishments that will go against you if you don't freeze those people. But if you go a little bit beyond your bounds, okay, if it's nobody who's like necessarily, but at least that you think that there's a high probability that they might have helped somebody out somewhere in the convoy along the way, okay. But if you just seize their bank account, no infractions are going to come against you. So literally, if they froze everything right now at the drop of a hat, even if you were just nice to anybody in the convoy, you didn't even have to provide any any sort of tangible help to the protest itself, your account gets frozen, and there's no penalties against the financial institutions. It's fucking frightening, dude. And it also extends to trying to fight against this tyranny. Because when we reviewed the Emergencies Act, okay, I think that was Monday or Tuesday of last week. It's the one with Hitler wearing a Trudeau getup. You know what I mean. There were several hundred people when Trudeau Sr., okay, when Pierre Trudeau enacted the War Measures Act. The same thing that the Emergencies Act is. It's just got a new name change because he needed to go ahead and get rid of that because, that was just a bad look back in 1970. So you needed to set the ground for your son to do something groundbreaking, I guess. who's probably just a twinkle in Fidel's eye at the time, but whatever. Know that several hundred people were arrested and that a lot of lawsuits afterwards of unjust imprisonment and prosecution happened when they were snatched up and when they were arrested. So, in order to get ahead of this, because we've already seen this play out before, what is Trudeau doing? Threatening lawyers, okay? You represent, okay? You help the convoy. You help the people who are being affected by this. You could also be held liable and you could have your assets frozen. This is fucking nuts. Twitter post by Ottawa Police Services threatening criminal prosecutions for those involved in a protest raises concern for some lawyers who feel people's rights will be trampled upon. No. If you are involved in this protest, we will actively look to identify you and follow up with with financial sanctions and criminal charges, the Ottawa Police Services said on Twitter on February 20th. Derek from where? Anyways, a lawyer based in Alberta says he is concerned with a vague and ambiguous threat in a post. Well, the powers from the Emergencies Act are vague and ambiguous, so he's very well aware of this. What does involved mean? Does that mean if you support the truckers financially? Does it mean support them on social media? Does that mean that you fed them or let them pass by or waved at a Canadian flag? He said in an interview. Good question, because that's the tweet. Like, that's supposed to in any way supposed to stoke fear. If you are involved in a protest, we will actively look to identify you and follow up with financial sanctions and criminal charges, and then post a picture from somewhere, I guess, just showing non-violence. Okay, whatever, dude. I bet it plays well on Twitter, where all thought and discourse goes to die. The sort of incoherent tweet from the police will have chilling effect on political speech. It is meant to intimidate Canadians, and it is meant to keep them from exercising their right of political speech. From says the OPS's comment shows there's an emphasis being put on enforcing the will of the police and the government without the consideration of the rights that people are entitled to. What is more telling in this tweet is that they're conspicuously misleading. There is no mention of the charter, no mention of the rights of the Canadians regarding the police searches. It's dominated by an expression of their overwhelming drive to enforce at all costs. It is precisely why Canadians have charter rights, to protect us from the state, to protect us from the police. To me, a liberty-loving lawyer, it seems as though Canada has fallen into lawlessness, and the lawless party is the state. Pretty much. So they're going to charge you criminally. They're going to freeze your financial assets, okay? And if all else fails, fuck it, we'll just send the horse after you and we'll just trample you. That's literally what happened. Because like I said before, there were just these little mini protests happening. One in Calgary, pretty big one in Calgary, all things considered. You'd expect that. Calgary's still remarkably based for being a big city, but it is in Alberta anyways. One in Vancouver, something going on there, which is just kind of odd, because why would Vancouverites, heroin addicted, cold Seattleans, and then something in Toronto, where this story is coming out of. Royal Canadian Mounted Police published a statement on Sunday confirming it is looking into alleged screenshots of texts circulating this weekend that appeared to show Canadian officers celebrating police brutality against the Ottawa Freedom Convoy protesters. Law enforcement began a violent operation this weekend against the Freedom Convoy, a peaceful protest movement seeking an end to civil rights violations like vaccine and mask mandates, business lockdowns, and other coronavirus-related government limitations on freedom. The convoy is largely trucker-led and has consisted of large trucks occupying major cities and blocking international road crossings. Its largest iteration was in Ottawa, where the police dispatched officers on horseback to attack unarmed protesters beginning on Friday. And yeah, that's not a mischaracterization of what exactly went on, because we could just run this down, but we got a nice little video here, and I'm going to play a little bit of this. But as you can see, yeah, there's this woman here. You've seen her for a second, but then all of a sudden, note how many police officers are there. And then they start running in horses. Sorry, I was going to say cavalry, but I don't know if that necessarily makes sense. And then all of a sudden, you see that same lady get trampled and knocked over by the horse, and then get trampled by police officers. Okay, True North, strong and free. And who was that lady? Well, can we say that Trudeau's a racist? Because he knocked over a woman of color, okay? An Indigenous Elder, in fact. Woman trampled by Trudeau's forces during freedom protest identified as an Indigenous Elder. elderly woman who was reportedly injured when police on horseback rode through a crowd of Freedom Convoy protesters Friday evening has been identified as Candy Sero. She is reportedly a full-blood Mohawk woman wwho lives in Tyendiga Mohawk territory, so on a reserve. She lives on a reserve in Hastings County, Ontario. As you can see, obviously very evil, very, very, very violent. Yes, given one of those white supremacist hand signals, like a thumbs up. According to the woman claiming to be Sero's niece, she said in a Facebook post Saturday that her alleged aunt is very much alive after false reports over the weekend that said the injured woman had passed away from the incident. No, she just has a broken collarbone. Footage showed mounted police officers charging through a narrow opening in the pro-freedom crowd, knocking down some people on the way. One of those people knocked down was Sero, who was seen in the video, and photographs of her lying in the middle with horses walking over her assist. Oh, yeah, she had a walker. They couldn't have written that more cumbersome. According to her alleged niece, Sero suffered a broken clavicle from the event, broken collarbone. Now stay away from the horses, Sero's alleged niece joked. Video shows Sero in a wheelchair and the woman who is in the video saying born to be alive. Someone in the background shouts, hold the line. In a video on YouTube shows Sero in Ottawa with her car, which has been signed by numerous protest attendees days before the viral trampling incident. Shortly after the incident occurred on Friday, Fox News contributor Sarah Carter wrote on Twitter that at the time Sero may have passed away from in hospital. Conflicting reports that the woman was merely injured, and yeah, as you can see there, she's in hospital. Obviously, got kind of a little makeshift sling, I guess, but she looks like she's got a large coffee. I think it says 4S, so she got 4 sugars in there. So broken collarbone doesn't take her down. The diabetes might. But yeah, no, that's what's going on here. So major protests have been dispersed. Okay. Yeah, the little pop-up ones were nice in Calgary and Vancouver and Toronto, okay, but they were dispersed quickly, or nobody's, hanging around making a show of it, okay? Everything seems to be done and dusted, so do we really need the Emergencies Act to continue? No. What does that actually mean, though? It's going to continue. And in fact, it's been voted to continue because now Trudeau thinks that he needs to invoke the Emergencies Act until such time as that there is no way that another uprising can occur. So this is going to go on for a long fucking time. At least 30 days right now. At least 30 days. See how much longer it goes on for. So let's hear straight from the horse's ass, because we just seen what happened straight from the horse's hoof. Trudeau said federal government will continue pursuing the Emergencies Act, even though the protesters have now been largely cleared from downtown Ottawa, and the blockades at several Canadian U.S. border crossings have cleared and have reopened since the act was invoked, and even beforehand, because the one on the Windsor Bridge, the Ambassador Bridge, between Windsor and Detroit, that was dispersed, a few days before he invoked the Emergencies Act. And so was the one at Couts. Okay, the only one that I can think of that was still going on was maybe the one in Manitoba. That was about it, because there was a little one at the BC Washington border, but it was dispersed on Sunday as well. I think that might have been right about at the same time that the Emergencies Act was rolled in, but even still, most of this shit was accomplished before you dropped the hammer. So why do you got to continue doing this? Okay, and again, the only violence that we've seen since you've invoked the Emergencies Act, the actual emergencies, have come from your side, knocking down old women, busting people's head in with batons, causing tangible injuries, yet he still needs more power. Okay. Trudeau at a press conference on February 21st, that would be today, used pointed language concerning the protesters opposed to federal mandates, who had camped in downtown Ottawa over the past 3 weeks. More than once, he referred to misinformation and disinformation. Is he talking about his own policies in society when discussing justification for the use of his act? No, people looking and reading the act, because it's not very long. It's not very complex. All it does is just cite what you need to invoke the Emergencies Act, what would be justified under it, and then people looking at it and going, doesn't really fit, but okay, he has the authority to invoke it. I'd say right, and that was the first word that popped into my head, but rights in Canada don't exist, at least for the next 30 days. We didn't want to use the Emergencies Act. Yes, you did. Of course, you always wanted to, because this is another opportunity for you to just have an unfettered power grab with an indeterminate amount of time. You have a blank stamp to just do whatever the fuck you want. Sure, it's a minority government right now, okay? You don't have a majority from your party. You simply have a plurality. Thanks to the all too willing NDP, you don't have to worry about any of that because they want just as much power as you do through ill-begotten ways. But after weeks of dangerous and unlawful activities orchestrated by the police, after weeks of people being harassed in their neighborhoods and small business forced to close, you close them. And can you point to anybody who was actually harassed by anybody from the convoy? Not claiming to be a part of the convoy, like that pink-haired asshole who said that he was a part of the convoy, or the police said that he had something to do with the truckers that were down there, setting that apartment building rug on fire, trying to lock people inside by taping doors shut and then just taking the side door to leave. And then the businesses were forced to close because the vaccine passport was enacted when the truckers showed up for all of Ontario, okay? And then you told them to stay at home because, the truckers might be violent, they might cause a problem, and then the ones that stayed open, they made a killing. After billions of dollars that were stalled in trade, again, I hope that the truckers just stay firm on this one when they get home and cause billions more dollars in trade to be stalled. Putting people's jobs and livelihoods at risk is very rich coming from the guy who's literally put more people out of work than the truckers could have ever possibly done. But after the National War Memorial was desecrated, what? How? By cleaning off the steps, by making sure that whenever snow fell, it was promptly shoveled, ice was removed off of it, you lying sack of shit. After evidence of increased ideologically motivated violent extremism, word salad activity across the country, just look at how many fucking weasel words are in there. Evidence of increased, motivated, nothing tangible. But there's some people that I don't like doing things that I disagree with, ergo violent extremists, right? After a flood of misinformation and disinformation washed over Canada. Like what? Care to clarify? No, didn't think so. Including from foreign sources. It's those goddamn Trumpers, right? Which again, by proxy, that was your finance minister or national security minister? No, one of the two. Saying that pro-Trumpers need to beware. Just in case you forgot, 85 million people voted for that guy. In the United States. So you're saying that's a small fringe minority of people with unacceptable positions? Cool. So you're just smearing a bunch of people because they don't agree with the progressive utopia that you're trying to enforce with force? Okay. After these illegal blockades and occupations received disturbing amounts of foreign funding to destabilize Canada's democracy, fuck off. I could break that down, but just simply fuck off. It became clear that local and provincial authorities needed more tools to restore order and to keep people safe. Who is ever being put in any danger? And you couldn't point to anything specifically that they were doing in order to kick them out. No, you just had to invent more rules for them that they were breaking by proxy because you needed to enforce the Emergencies Act. Debate on the use of the act, which gives authorities additional power to oust the participants of the Ottawa protest against the mandates and restrictions, has been underway in the House of Commons over the past few days. NDP supports the government's use of the measure, while the Conservatives and Bloc Québécois oppose its use. And thanks to the support of the NDP, he has more than enough votes. Conservative interim leader Candice Bergen, who's been a feckless asshole. She's done nothing. I'm just gonna stand up in Parliament to make a big fucking scene about this, instead of going outside and actually voicing your support for the fucking truckers. You stunned cunt. You're fucking useless. All of you are useless. You didn't do anything. Now you're just going to think that, all of those dirty truckers can go back. But make sure to vote Conservative next time that there might be elections, okay? Because, don't worry. We got this big old advantage. We're up 10 points in the polls. Which, who knows when the next election is going to be, okay? Because if Trudeau thinks that I need all the power from the Emergencies Act until there's no chance of another uprising happening from one of these evil trucker convoys, okay? We need to keep this going until we snuff out all of these little fires that I keep imagining in my head. I just keep shifting the Overton window to anybody who doesn't agree with me is a far-right, evil, misinformation, disinformation Nazi, and we need to kill them all. How far before we get there? But theoretically, we still have, 3.5 years before a full proper election happens? And and if the Conservatives... Cool, they can continue to maintain a 10-point lead, and cool, Trudeau can continue to be a tyrant because he has the overwhelming support of the NDP. That's all he needs. He has the government, he'll have it for 4 years, and he'll fuck everything up beyond all recognition. So, we'll see what happens, okay? Because apparently the Emergencies Act has already been voted on, okay? We're just living in the aftermath of this. We'll see what happens, and maybe I'll give an update on it tomorrow, but shit's looking fucked, yo. And especially if anything happens, if anything just finally gets wished into reality from Biden when it comes to Ukraine and Russia, maybe this will just get swept under the rug and we'll be in a war, and ergo the old war times measures will be justified. Thanks, Trudeau. With that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.